The following video is brought to you by motherfucking coffee. Well, I have failed. I made an attempt, made it to 7 days, but I'm back on coffee. I'm sorry. For those of you who had high hopes, like he's getting all them fucking oxalates out of his fucking body, we just want to give him a big fucking hug for trying to quit. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But let's talk a little bit about what I went through as far as withdrawal, why I chose to come back to coffee, and ultimately did I answer the question, is the only reason I feel good on a ketogenic diet and carnivore diet because of fucking coffee? So, as many of you know, during my wilderness fast, just before it, I experienced the headaches, energy dips, crashes. It was starting to normalize energy-wise, as in I was functional. I didn't have that get up and go. Today I got that fucking get up and go. I got up and fucking went. As soon as I had my first cup of coffee, good to go. Plow through my day, no problem. But I did notice a few other things that have given me food for thought that may come into account if I experience certain things. But where I drew the line, where I said, I'm not doing this fucking, I've quit a whole lot of shit. If coffee is costing me something, it's going to have to cost me something, is when I started to feel depression. Now, I had been warned by the many other motherfuckers that have quit coffee that depression is one of the symptoms that can crop up. And whenever you reduce the amount of dopamine coming in, when your subconscious is trained to respond to a consistent way of boosting that dopamine and you take that away without replacing it with some other dopamine activity, you end up depressed. And I felt the depression coming on. How did I know I felt the depression coming on? Because on carno or ketovore, I've been very careful with the foods that I choose to eat. If I get down, it lasts for maybe 1 to 2 hours. 1 to 2 hours of feeling a little melancholy. Not despair, not I hate my life, not I don't want to live. No, we're to a couple hours of despair. Well, I had a day, like a full day of despair. And I was going, I was in the process. This happened on my trip. I had to go to Ithaca. If you look at my Instagram, I posted some pictures from there. I was depressed that whole fucking trip. I was miserable. Until I said, fuck it. I went into Starbucks and had me a cup of fucking coffee. Depression went away within 20 minutes. 20 minutes, depression gone. And now my daily routine's back to normal and I feel fine. So to answer Vegetable Police's question, is the only reason I feel good on keto and carnivore because of coffee? I can only say yes at this point. I didn't give it a full 30 days. One could argue, hey, if you would have just given it fucking 30 days, dickhead, you'd have felt fine. And I've seen those comments, and I have. I use coffee as a crutch, I will admit, on this diet. It's my fat delivery mechanism. Is in 300 to 500 calories of my fat intake every day that keep me in the ketogenic spectrum. The ratio of 2 to 1 fats are heavy cream that I put in my coffee. Pure fat, saturated fat, here you go. Calories, energy, good. No risk of me overeating protein and not eating enough fat. You know, I have it after my meal as a dessert. I put my stevia erythritol in it to sweeten it, and the coffee makes a dessert, so it fulfills a dessert role. Without it, I want fucking real dessert. It gives me the energy boost to get through the day. And, you know, but it's not without its drawbacks. One thing I did notice as I quit coffee, I didn't have any cramp problems. If I overdo it on coffee and I don't drink enough water, my electrolyte balance fucks up and I get muscle cramps in my calves. That went away when the coffee went away. So I know that my biggest bane on coffee was electrolyte issues. Consequently, I noticed when I quit coffee, my water intake skyrocketed. I drank way more water and was thirsty for it. As I drink coffee, I'm not thirsty for water, despite pissing like a fucking racehorse. And, you know, overall, I drink 1 or 2 waters on top of my coffee every day. And, you know, one could argue I'm getting hydrated from the fat as well that I take in with the coffee. And fat does hydrate you when you consume it. You know, a lot of foods hydrate you when you consume it if they have water in them. Fat has water in it. So you do get hydrated along with the electrolytes that come with the meat and fat that you're eating. But overall, that is the one positive thing I really experienced with quitting coffee, was better hydration. I didn't have to piss as often. I didn't have to wake up to piss or do any of that. And I'm still enjoying that benefit even though I've returned to coffee. I do piss more, but I haven't had to wake up in the middle of the night and piss. You know, sometimes early in the morning I'll get up, you know, and then go back to sleep for an hour or two. But, you know, piss problems aside, am I willing to put up with that for the benefit of not being depressed, for having good energy, and being on the upper spectrum of my little meh balance that I have going? You know, I've gotten rid of alcohol. I haven't wanted to go back to alcohol. I haven't had a craving for alcohol. I was craving the shit out of coffee. Like, I'd be driving down the street or looking around and I'd see Dunkin' Donuts and I'd be like, I'd even drink that shitty coffee right now. You know? And it was wearing me down. I was thinking about it constantly. I was like, damn, I wish I had some coffee. You know what would go really good with this steak? Some coffee. You know? And I started probably leaning a little heavily on the Halo top to make up for my lack of coffee. It's not a good thing. So, you know, I'm not here to make excuses. I tried and failed, and I am acknowledging my shortcoming as a fucking human being and failing to quit fucking coffee. Alright? I couldn't do it. I tried. I did the best I could. So I'm sorry to disappoint those of you who were hoping for me to quit. Some of you are going to be like, I told you so. You don't need to quit coffee. Coffee's good for you. Blah, 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 blah. Coffee has pros and cons. I am fully aware through my experience now that there are pros and cons to coffee. It's like any other food. There's pros and cons to every food. You know, there's no perfect thing that we eat. It's what we have tolerances to, what we have the ability to metabolize. You know, these are all things to weigh and consider, not to mention the pollutants and all the other bullshit, as you just watched the glyphosate Monsanto bullshit that I just posted. You know, you got to understand that there's no perfect food. Everything has benefits and side effects. And it really depends on the food. Some more than others. Some we are suited to tolerate more than others. So it really boils down to that. So, I know I'm powerfully addicted to caffeine. Not only physically, from the physical withdrawal I went through, but definitely mentally as well. And it's probably, I cannot compare it to when I quit alcohol or quitting sugar, because those ingrain, those are all addictions that went away, and I had no cravings. And I wasn't obsessed about it while I was in the process of quitting those. And they had very few physical withdrawals. Thankfully. This had a huge physical effect on me. It had a huge effect on me in terms biologically, in terms of depression, in terms of mood, in terms of energy, in terms of willpower. This was probably one of the hardest addictions I've made an attempt to break. And I don't know that I want to put myself through this ever again, for that matter. So there's plenty of people that have lived perfectly long lives drinking coffee. Coffee has been around a very, very long time. And while you could probably argue I'm not optimally healthy, and I don't think I'm optimally healthy anyway, I'm just doing the best I can, it's a measure of trade-offs. What are you willing to put up with versus what do you get out of it? I get a lot out of coffee. Not just the pleasure, not just the energy boost, but it also fills in some of the pleasure gaps left by the other things I've quit. So having quit sugar, and this is probably the biggest thing that coffee has kept me away from, simply because it provides enough dopamine to where my subconscious is going, hey, we need dopamine, motherfucker, it's time for dopamine. Oh yeah, coffee. Let's go get coffee. I have retrained myself that anytime I want something desserty, go make a cup of coffee. Anytime I feel low energy, go make a cup of coffee. Get two birds with one stone there. I increase my fat intake, which gives me more energy, and I get caffeine, which boosts my perception of that energy. And I know it's not real energy. I know when the coffee wears off, the energy goes away. I know the biological effects of coffee, and I'm willing to put up with them. So I gave it a shot. I cannot definitively answer the question, do you feel fine without coffee in your life? Only you can really do that by quitting coffee. I know that Vegetable Police asked that question, and I know there's others of you who have asked that question, but I cannot say I've given you the answer. I hypothesize that eventually, if you go long enough and suffer long enough, you probably can live without coffee and live a healthy, happy life. I don't want to put myself through that, because depression is a slippery slope for me. I can get in that funk and not get out and not give a shit about anything. And I don't want to go down that route. So for the sake of self-medication, I take my medicine, which is coffee. There's a lot worse medications on the market. We'll just put it that way. So it is what it is. I know I'm getting higher oxalates from coffee. So before you throw that in the comments, I know I could get adrenal fatigue. I'm well aware of that. I know it's blocking the receptor for sleep, so it'll have sleep impact. I know it's a diuretic, so that it makes me piss out all my electrolytes and causes cramps. I am aware of all the downsides of coffee. I just fucking want... The upsides are of more value to me than the downsides. And having been addicted to it throughout this whole journey, for the past 4 years, where I've reversed so many of my health problems, including the depression, if it's part of my formula for a happier, better, healthier life, then I'll do so. Now, if it ever gets to a point where I feel coffee is destroying me, so where the negative effects outweigh the positive effects, then I will by all means be trying to quit again. And I stress trying, because that would mean, likely for me, I don't know why, I don't know biologically how it led to my depression, other than the only thing I can theorize, it is the dopamine issue. I get a significant amount of my dopamine from coffee without having something to replace it with that provides an equal amount of dopamine with which I could retrain my subconscious to say, hey, dopamine's low, we need to go do something about that. instead of going coffee, it needs to go something else. My addiction transfer theory holds because I didn't have another addiction to transfer this to. Some have crossed my mind and they all suck worse than coffee. So coffee seems to be the safe bet for now. Who knows? If I can find another dopamine-inducing activity equal to coffee, then maybe I could have another go at it and not get depressed while still going through that physical shit again. But for now, I'm happy to continue to drink my coffee. Might cut back a bit here and there, but for the most part, coffee is part of my existence. I might wean it down, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. For now, I'm back to my normal coffee routine. So, I'm sorry. I really am. I don't like failing these self-experiments, but I wouldn't be honest with you if I didn't fucking tell you when I do. And that's the kind of shit that we need with all science. We need all of these motherfuckers that are preaching their way to also show their negatives, their failures, when shit doesn't go well. That's what people need to see to make their own decisions. So make your own decisions. For those of you who are going to write in the comments, dude, I quit coffee, I feel fucking great, I ain't never going back. Well, congratulations, it worked for you. For every one of you, there's another one of you that's like, I drink coffee all the fucking time, it's fucking great, yes, I feel like $1 million. Okay, I got it. That is the trade-off. That is what you need to do to figure out for yourself. Don't let any motherfucker on YouTube or anywhere else tell you, let them give you their experience. And then if there's something that they're getting out of it that you want to try and get out of it, then you try that shit. But there is no cookie cutter formula for this journey. This journey is going to be a little bit different for everyone for multiple reasons. So I'm just sharing my fucking shit. And this was a failed self-experiment in my book because I didn't quit coffee. It would have saved me economically. It would have saved me lots of, cramps probably. And I wouldn't have to be worried about coffee all the time. Like if I go out backpacking for a few days, I'm going to be worried about caffeine withdrawal. So there's that. I'll have to carry the extra weight of coffee with me when I go out just to maintain my caffeine addiction, or maybe some caffeine pills. I'm not going to do. I'm going to drink coffee. So that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you for this particular video. Please like and subscribe for more shit. I'll make more shit. Hit the little fucking bell. I don't even know if that fucking thing works, but maybe if you hit it, we'll find out. Head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and leave a tip in the virtual fucking tip jar, and I'll continue to do this. I'll devote time to making videos. Otherwise, I got to devote time to Uber. Don't get me started on Uber. I know Uber's in the news. I know Uber's a lot of shit talking about Uber. Maybe I'll do a video on it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you want fucking hear about my thoughts on the whole Uber thing. But you guys have helped me out over the years to keep this channel going. And if you want to continue to do so, that's the way to do it. Ad revenue's way down, by the way. Just laying that out there. Also, Scott the Photographer is my other channel. I am working on that channel. I'll be producing another video soon. I actually got some exciting news that I'll share with you on that channel, for that channel. And we'll go on from there. And one last update. I'm thinking the Thailand trip is not going to happen. I'm still going to plan some kind of trip for that month. But apparently nobody wanted to go to Thailand, so we haven't committed to that. So I'm not going to be able to go. That's pretty much how that works. I do have another trip in mind. I haven't decided on it yet. And, they have Liana has told me, she's the one that's doing the Thailand thing, that she's coming up with another plan. So I'd like to hear what that plan is, if there is one. But for now, things are open. I don't think it's too short notice at this point for people to commit to go into the Thailand trip. So it is what it is. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have a full travel summer, even if that means just driving around to different national parks, backpacking my ass off. And there's some other places I want to visit and probably will. And I'll probably meet up with some of you in the process of traveling. So that's one of my goals, is to start meeting some of my subscribers and seeing, you know, what their journey is really like in person and hearing in person their story. It's a little different reading a comment or an email anecdote than it is to see a person and see how they're living and hear how they're living and really get a good feel for how their health is, you know. And also for them to share their stories. That's another thing, you know, sharing the anecdotes, the wisdom of crowds is a thing. And it's in the absence of fucking powerful science, that's all we got left right now. So, and by powerful science, I mean science you can trust. So, that's it. The fuck do I know? I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just an asshole who drinks fucking coffee again. Yep. Glyphosate and fucking oxalates all up in my shit. I don't know how much glyphosate's in coffee, but I imagine there's some. Have a nice motherfucking day. Shit. And yeah, I'm gonna go make some fucking coffee now, because now that I've been talking about coffee, I need more fucking coffee in my life.